Today, you stand on the edge of your potential. It's easy to look at others and see their accomplishments as signs of greatness. But here's the truth. Greatness isn't something that's given or reserved for a select few. It's earned, right here, right now, through every action you take, every choice you make, and every moment you show up for yourself and the people around you. Standing now, greatness is not something that is bestowed upon us in a single moment, nor is it a destination we suddenly arrive at. It is earned. But what many fail to realize is that it is earned through vulnerability. This may sound counterintuitive because vulnerability often gets a bad rap. We tend to think of it as weakness, something to hide or avoid at all cost. But vulnerability is actually the birthplace of greatness. It's the starting point of every breakthrough, every innovation, and every moment of growth. When we think of greatness, we often envision people who seem to have it all together, those who are strong, confident, and seemingly flawless. But the truth is, these qualities don't appear from a place of perfection. They emerge from the courage to embrace our imperfections, to expose the parts of ourselves we're most afraid of, and to face challenges head-on, even when we're unsure of the outcome. Vulnerability is not about being weak or fragile. It's about having the courage to be seen, to take risks, and to step into uncertainty. It's about putting yourself out there in a way that's raw, honest, and true to who you are, regardless of how that might look to others. In a world that places such a high value on achievement and outward success, vulnerability is often dismissed. We live in a culture that celebrates the self-made person, the one who appears to have risen above struggles and emerged victorious without showing the cracks. But those cracks are exactly where greatness is forged. The moments when we feel most unsure, most afraid, most uncertain, those are the moments when we're at the threshold of something greater. It's in these moments that we have the opportunity to lean into vulnerability instead of running from it. Think about a time when you were faced with a challenge that made you feel exposed or uncomfortable. Maybe it was a difficult conversation, a new responsibility, or an unfamiliar situation. Your first instinct was probably to retreat, to protect yourself from the possibility of failure, criticism, or rejection. This instinct is natural, but it's also the very thing that keeps us from reaching our potential. When we choose to stay in our comfort zones, we limit ourselves. We avoid the very experiences that would push us to grow, to stretch beyond what we think is possible. We stay safe, but we also stay small. On the other hand, when we choose vulnerability, when we choose to face our fears, to put ourselves in situations that challenge us, we open ourselves up to the full spectrum of what life has to offer. We allow ourselves the space to learn, to adapt, to fail, and to succeed. Vulnerability is the bridge between who we are now and who we are capable of becoming. The key to embracing vulnerability is recognizing that it's not about seeking validation or approval from others. It's not about exposing ourselves for the sake of attention or sympathy. True vulnerability is about showing up for ourselves, being honest with ourselves, and choosing to be present in our own lives. It's about taking the risk to show the world who we really are, flaws, imperfections, and all, and trusting that this is enough. When we embrace vulnerability, we create the conditions for authentic connection with others. Think about the people who have inspired you the most. More likely than not, it wasn't their successes or achievements that moved you. It was their honesty, their willingness to be open about their struggles, their imperfections, and their humanity. We don't connect with people who seem perfect because perfection is distant, unattainable, and inhuman. We connect with people who are real, people who allow us to see their struggles and triumphs alike. All right, this kind of connection is the foundation for greatness because it's what fuels us to keep going even when things get tough. When we know we are not alone, when we know that others have faced similar fears and challenges, we are more likely to push past our own doubts and fears. Vulnerability creates a sense of solidarity, a recognition that we are all in this together. It reminds us that we don't have to be perfect to be worthy, to be seen, or to be loved. One of the most powerful aspects of vulnerability is that it invites growth. Growth doesn't happen in a vacuum. It doesn't occur when everything is easy, comfortable, or predictable. Growth happens when we stretch ourselves beyond what we thought we were capable of, when we push through the discomfort of uncertainty, when we allow ourselves to be seen as we are, not as the perfect version we'd like to present to the world. There's something incredibly liberating about stepping into vulnerability. It's the realization that you don't have to have it all figured out, that you don't need to have all the answers, and that you don't need to be in control of everything. The world will never be perfectly safe, and we will never have complete certainty, but we have the power to choose how we respond to those uncertainties. We can either shrink away from them, or we can choose to show up, to embrace the discomfort, and to trust that we are capable of navigating whatever comes our way. In fact, it is often through these moments of vulnerability that we discover the strength we didn't know we had. It is in the process of facing our fears and doubts head on that we tap into new reserves of courage, resilience, and creativity. Vulnerability forces us to confront the parts of ourselves that we've been avoiding, to acknowledge our weaknesses, and to choose to grow anyway. It challenges us to look beyond the external pressures of success and achievement, and to redefine what greatness truly means. To earn your greatness, you must first be willing to show up as you are vulnerable, imperfect, and human. You must be willing to face the uncomfortable truth that greatness isn't something that happens outside of you, but rather something that emerges from within. Through the courage to face challenges, to make mistakes, to learn, and to continue evolving. Every time you choose vulnerability, you choose to step into a new level of possibility, a new level of growth, and a new level of greatness. It's not about avoiding discomfort. It's about leaning into it, knowing that it's through the discomfort that your true potential is realized. Vulnerability is not a weakness. It is the key to unlocking your fullest potential. It is through vulnerability that we find the courage to face our fears, to take risks, and to embrace the unknown. And it is through vulnerability that we can truly earn our greatness. Greatness doesn't come from hiding or pretending to be something we're not. It comes from embracing who we are, flaws and all, and trusting that our journey, however messy and imperfect it may be, is the path to something extraordinary. Greatness comes from visionary thinkers to real doers. Greatness is not about achieving perfection or having everything figured out. It's about the authenticity with which we approach life and the consistent effort we put into everything we do. Authenticity is the cornerstone of greatness because it allows us to show up fully without pretending to be someone or something we're not. So often we get caught up in the pressure to be the best, to stand out, or to achieve some external measure of success. But the truth is, greatness isn't defined by how others perceive us. It's defined by the integrity and effort we invest in being true to ourselves, day in and day out. When you commit to being authentic, you're making the choice to show up as your whole self. This means acknowledging your strengths and weaknesses, embracing your flaws, and bringing your true self to every situation. It's easy to fall into the trap of comparing yourself to others, to feel like you need to measure up to an ideal or a standard that someone else has set. But this kind of comparison is destructive. It pulls us away from who we truly are and leads us to pursue things that aren't aligned with our values or our own unique journey. Instead of striving to be the best, strive to be your best. And your best is always rooted in authenticity. The effort that leads to greatness isn't always glamorous or grand. It's the quiet, behind-the-scenes work that you do every day, even when no one is looking. It's the small steps you take consistently that add up over time. You don't have to have everything figured out from the start. You just have to begin, and then keep showing up, giving your best effort, and learning from each experience. Authenticity in effort means being true to the process, even when it's difficult, uncomfortable, or unclear. It's easy to give up when things aren't going the way you expected, but staying committed to your journey is what turns ordinary actions into extraordinary results. Authentic effort is also about being present with your work. It's about putting your heart into what you're doing, regardless of how small or insignificant it may seem. When you approach your work with integrity and purpose, you create a ripple effect that touches not only your own life, but the lives of those around you. People can sense when something is done with genuine effort, and that authenticity is what builds trust, connection, and respect. It's the difference between doing something because you have to and doing it because it matters to you. The impact of your work is magnified when it's done with authenticity because it carries your true energy and intention. This effort, done with authenticity, compounds over time. It doesn't happen in a moment. It's built through the accumulation of small, meaningful actions. There are no shortcuts to greatness, no magic formulas or easy fixes. But when you approach everything with authenticity, when you stay true to your values and pour your energy into the things that matter, you are naturally on the path to greatness. Authenticity transforms the effort from something that's merely about results into something that has deeper meaning. And it's this meaning that fuels you to keep going, even when the road gets tough. Greatness is not something that comes easily. It's not something that can be achieved through mere talent, luck, or circumstance. If we are to earn our greatness, we must be willing to move through discomfort, to challenge ourselves, and to step into situations that force us to grow. The pursuit of greatness requires courage, and courage is not about being fearless. It's about acting in spite of fear. It's about choosing to move forward when everything inside you wants to hold back, when the path ahead seems uncertain, and when you feel the weight of doubt pressing on you. It's about stepping into the unknown, not because you know exactly how it will turn out, but because you believe that the growth you'll experience along the way is worth the risk. The path to greatness is often paved with discomfort. We cannot grow without experiencing the unease of facing something new, something unfamiliar. Growth demands that we leave behind the safety of what we know, and that can be one of the hardest things to do. We're wired to avoid pain, to protect ourselves from failure, and to cling to what feels familiar. But if we want to achieve something greater than what we've already done, we must push through the discomfort. Right? This discomfort is not a sign that we're on the wrong path. It's a signal that we're moving in the right direction. When we find ourselves in unfamiliar territory, when we feel uncertain or overwhelmed, we are at the edge of something bigger than ourselves. This is where courage comes in. Courage is the choice to move forward, even when we don't have all the answers, even when we don't feel ready. It's the decision to step into the unknown, trusting that, despite the fear, we are capable of handling whatever comes our way. It's in these moments of discomfort that we discover our true strength. We may not know exactly how to navigate the challenges ahead, but by taking that first step, by showing up despite our doubts, we open ourselves up to new possibilities. We may stumble, we may fail, and we may feel unsure of ourselves. But those moments are the breeding grounds of growth. We are often afraid of failing, but failure is an essential part of the journey. Without failure, there is no true growth. Failure is not a reflection of our worth or potential. It is a lesson, a stepping stone that helps us refine our approach, build resilience, and sharpen our skills. Every great achievement is built upon the lessons learned from past mistakes. In fact, it's often the failures that provide the most valuable insights, the most profound moments of learning. To succeed, we must be willing to fail, to embrace the discomfort that comes with failure, and to see each setback as a lesson, not a reason to quit. When we view failure as part of the process, we free ourselves from the fear that holds us back. We allow ourselves the space to try, to experiment, and to evolve. We need to find success as what makes you thrive as part of the process. We free ourselves from the fear that holds us back. We allow ourselves the chance to try, to experiment, and to evolve. Courage also requires us to let go of our need for control. We often want to know exactly how things will unfold, to have a clear and predictable path ahead of us. But greatness doesn't come with a map. It comes with a willingness to navigate the unknown. When we let go of the need for certainty and embrace the uncertainty of the journey, we open ourselves up to the possibility of growth and transformation. This doesn't mean we act recklessly or irresponsibly, but it does mean that we trust ourselves enough to handle whatever comes our way. We trust that we have the resilience and resourcefulness to overcome obstacles, even when we don't have all the answers right away. Courage is not a trait we're born with. It is something we cultivate. It grows as we face challenges, as we step into discomfort and take risks. The more we practice courage, the more it becomes a part of who we are. Just as we build physical strength by pushing our bodies to their limits, we build courage by consistently choosing to face our fears. With each small step outside of our comfort zone, we develop the muscle of courage, making it easier to take bigger risks and face bigger challenges. It's a cycle. The more we embrace courage, the more we grow. And the more we grow, the more we are able to continue embracing courage. This cycle of courage and growth is essential to earning our greatness. We don't achieve greatness by sitting in our comfort zones waiting for the right moment. Greatness is earned by stepping into the arena, by choosing to confront our fears, and by being willing to face discomfort head on. It's about the consistent, everyday choices to show up and do the work, even when it's hard, even when we feel afraid, and even when the outcome is uncertain. And because every moment of discomfort is an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to step closer to the person we are meant to be. It's important to recognize that courage isn't a single grand act. It's found in the small moments, in the everyday decisions that require us to step beyond our fears. It's the courage to speak up when it's easier to stay silent, the courage to keep going when you feel like giving up, the courage to ask for help when you need it, and the courage to continue when you don't know how it will work out. These small acts of courage build up over time, and it's through them that greatness is achieved. It's not about waiting for the perfect opportunity. It's about seizing the opportunities that come your way, even if they don't feel perfect, and trusting that each step is taking you closer to your potential. The discomfort that comes with courage isn't something to be feared. It's something to be embraced, because it's through discomfort that we discover our resilience, our strength, and our capacity for growth. It's through courage that we break through the limitations we've placed on ourselves and allow ourselves to become the people we are capable of being. If we want to earn our greatness, we must be willing to step into discomfort, to face our fears, and to trust that, in the end, it will all be worth it. Self-doubt is one of the most insidious barriers to greatness. It creeps into our minds quietly, often disguised as concern or caution, but it has the power to paralyze us if we let it. We all experience self-doubt at some point in our journey, whether we're stepping into a new role, taking on a difficult task, or pursuing a dream we've held for years. The fear of not being good enough, of failing, of not measuring up to the standards we've set for ourselves or that others have set for us can be overwhelming. But self-doubt is not the enemy of greatness. In fact, it is often the very thing that shows us where we need to grow and where our greatest potential lies. The first step in overcoming self-doubt is recognizing that it's not a reflection of our true abilities. It's a natural response to the unknown, to the things we care about most, and to the risks we are willing to take. Self-doubt often appears when we are pushing ourselves beyond what we've done before, when we're stretching into new territory. It's the voice inside us that tries to keep us safe, to hold us back from taking risks. But if we listen too closely to that voice, we will never move forward. We will never stretch beyond our current limitations, and we will never grow into the people we are meant to be. One of the most powerful things we can do when we experience self-doubt is to acknowledge it without letting it control us. We can give it a name, acknowledge it as a natural part of the process, and then choose not to let it define us. The fact that we feel self-doubt does not mean we are incapable. In fact, it often means the opposite, that we are on the cusp of something great, something new, something that will challenge us in ways we've never been challenged before. Self-doubt is not a sign that we aren't good enough. It's a sign that we are pushing ourselves towards something more. Taking an online test is another indicator for your life path. It's also important to recognize that self-doubt is a universal experience. Every person who has ever achieved anything significant has faced it at some point. It doesn't discriminate. It doesn't matter how successful, talented, or experienced someone is. Self-doubt is something we all deal with. The difference between those who let it stop them and those who keep moving forward is how they respond to it. Those who achieve greatness are not immune to self-doubt. They simply don't allow it to hold them back. They feel the fear, acknowledge it, and take action anyway. When we allow self-doubt to dictate our actions, we miss out on opportunities for growth. We become paralyzed by the fear of what could go wrong instead of focusing on what could go right. We play small and we limit ourselves. But when we choose to move through the self-doubt, when we take that first step despite our fear, we open the door to possibility. We begin to build confidence, not because the doubt disappears, but because we prove to ourselves that we can handle whatever comes our way. Overcoming self-doubt is not about eliminating it entirely. It's about learning how to move through it. It's about trusting that we are capable of handling the challenges that lie ahead, even if we don't have all the answers. The more we face self-doubt and keep moving forward, the more we build resilience and self-assurance. And the more we build those qualities, the easier it becomes to step into new challenges with the understanding that self-doubt doesn't have to hold us back. It can fuel us to keep going, to continue growing, and to earn our greatness.